What is up, Washington Football Addicts, Washington Football Nation? It is your boys, Steve, Phil, and Dev. Back on Thursday night, October 28th, as we tonight going to talk about the Denver Broncos in Week 8. Here we are. I guess you could call this the halfway point, right? Almost the halfway point. It would have been the halfway point in the old Week 16 schedule, but now there's 17, so I guess you could say we're almost at the halfway point. So
something to that effect.
Something like that. So this is episode 91. And for those you don't know, thank you for listening. And we're going to open it up like we always do. Phil, go ahead and dedicate the episode.
I hate bringing up players who currently play for other teams, but it's not even close. It's Ryan Kerrigan, 91. He owns that number. If they ever retire that number, it will be because of Kerrigan. 95 and a half sacks. He's the franchise's all-time leading sack leader. And he, until his last two seasons with the team, he was with the team from 2011 through 2020. Up through 2018, he never had a season with less than 7.5 sacks. He went 4 or 5 seasons over 10 sacks. It was in double digits. Very consistent. He was never all-world elite, but he's Hall of Very Good. Like, if there's a guy who defines Hall of Very Good, it's Ryan Kerrigan. He was very consistent. He didn't miss a game until 2019. 2019 was the first time he ever missed a game in his career. That's durability at defensive end and outside linebacker, which he was kind of playing out of position at 3-4. He was really a better hand in the defensive end in a 4-3. But you can't say anything really bad about the man. He was consistent. He was there. Yes, we bashed him for years because he had no moves. He just permanently implanted himself in the chest of a right tackle, but it worked enough for him to be the franchise leader in sacks. I mean, that says something. You got to look at the other two names on the top three. Who are the other two names on that list? Well, one's Dexter Manley. The other one's Charles Mann. And he's someone who can be spoken of in the same breath and played about the same number of years, too. So numbers don't lie. Ryan Kerrigan, Hall of Very Good.
Very good. Very good dedication, Phil. Yeah, he was always what you need in the locker room, right? Locker room goes only so far. He was the best at getting held. I talked about this on my boy Rio's live stream the other day. And Rio, thank you for joining us, bro. What it do, fellas? Welcome, Rio. Yeah, we talked about this on your show, actually. I jumped in the comments. And yeah, he was great at being held. But we'll always love Ryan Kerrigan. He always did a lot of good things for this team and this franchise. And the first round pick out of Purdue. Played great. Very stalwart, but it was time to move on. When he signed at Philadelphia, I think it was for chump change. It was like $2 million or something. It wasn't even that much. But as such, life goes on. And just like this show, we will go on. So first and foremost, let's talk about this jackety-looking mofo, Mark Davis. So for those who don't know, the Raiders have been the subject of some, we'll call it some scrutiny recently.
Isn't that Rod's team?
It is someone named Roddy Thomas's team, and they lost their coach. John Gruden got fired. But as of late, Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, had come out and demand that the NFL should release a written report to the Washington football team investigation that concluded earlier this year with Beth Wilkinson. Excuse me. So, fellas, I just want to get your thoughts on what do you think about this? Is the first owner to come out to actually say, I want a report released. I would like to have a report release. So, and if you haven't already done so, I would encourage you guys to go listen to our friend Andy Burrows' latest podcast where he had Megan Imbert on. It was a great show. I have to commend it. I'm almost done listening to it, not quite done yet, but it was just phenomenal. So if you haven't listened to it yet, please go give it a listen. It's very eye-opening as someone who worked directly for Larry Michael to hear that point of view. And it's not really about bashing Snyder. It's really just about transparency and letting everyone know what was on the record. And they've agreed to go off, completely on the record. So go listen to it if you haven't listened to it again. But yeah. So Dev, let's get your thoughts. Let's talk about Mark Davis, man. What do you think about that report? He's the first owner to come out and say release a report.
I mean, okay. Why don't you get a better haircut? We all have suggestions, you know what I'm saying? I don't know like what the right answer is for that. I mean, go ahead, release a report. I don't care. If there's something there, I think the report is either going to go two ways. It's either going to exonerate Dan, or it's going to implicate everyone. That's what's going to happen, right? It's not going to just be Dan. Oh, we found out Dan's a racist, misogynist, or homophobe. We're not going to find that stuff out. We're going to find out the entire league is.
And I think there's a
You're not going to find anything.
There is a group of people that are saying release report for Dan Snyder, but as the voice of reasons here, I don't think that's what a lot of people going public are about. They're just about releasing the report so people can make their own opinions. Yes, there's a group of people saying fire Snyder, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But there's a group of people that are saying, how do you go a multi-million investigation and it ends in nothing? I mean, there's an investigation when someone like you probably had an investigation when you got hurt on the job and a report was produced. How do you have this sort of investigation and there's nothing written whatsoever? I mean, the Deflategate, as said on Andy's podcast, it got a 250-page report tied to it for a piece of leather. So it just kind of makes you wonder.
Or they found nothing.
Okay, release it so we can stop talking about this.
What are you going to release if they found nothing? Because you got to think about it. This stuff happened. It already had happened, and they already done their whole thing before we found out about it. Like, it was already legally a done deal.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, and then last year they did the Wilkinson report, and then they kicked out all the people who was responsible, and the owner stepped aside, and all this blah 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 stuff that happened. And then a year later, we're talking about it. So my only issue is that why didn't anybody care about it till now?
I think they did.
This was almost 2 years ago. No one was saying release that report.
Well, if you listen to the podcast, Megan specifically comes out and said, how could I be in a position to take on a multi-billion-dollar person when I have no money? What makes you think that I have the ability to do that? Sometimes there's strength in numbers. Yeah, and they had to go around and find attorneys that would support them, and all they're asking for is just to release a report. It's not that, it's just that simple. It's that simple. And you're right. Maybe Jerry Jones says he's perfectly fine with it. We've all seen the Jerry Jones pictures, right? You guys seen those pictures?
Right,
yeah. Phil, let's hear your take. What do you got? Hey, Thomas Millens, thank you for joining, bro.
I'm going to start by saying this. If they can legally release the report, by all means do it. By all means do it.
Yeah.
If there are things that legally hold that report up from being released. Now, you notice the ones who are vocal or the ones who are saying release it. Oh, I didn't ask for it to be redacted.
How many victims was it?
We don't know how many people here's the thing. We don't know how many people they talked to. There may be a lot of people in there who want a lot of things redacted for their own protection or whatever the case may be, or maybe they took part in some of these activities. We don't know. So you have to understand that there are protections for those who don't want to be associated with it as well.
Right.
That being said, if you can release it and just heavily redact it, go for it. I don't care. I think it would be a good thing. I think it would, because I really think that report had more mustard on it as far as Dan Snyder itself, it would have been released. I truly believe that. A lot of people say, oh, it's because the billionaires are protecting each other. Well, no one likes this particular billionaire. Mark Davis, though, why does he care now? He actually voted for Dan Snyder to get the debt waiver to buy out his minority owners.
Yeah,
He didn't have a problem with it then.
that's true.
But the minute that Dan Snyder leaks these emails, and no one's officially said it, but we all know that's where the emails came from. It came from Dan Snyder with his lawsuit.
Tanya Snyder said today that it wasn't them.
Well, of course they're going to plausible deniability. All right, Snyder himself didn't release it. Snyder's lawyers released it, or someone attached to their legal somebody else leaked it, and they create plausible deniability. It's how you do these things. But my thing is that we know why he cares. He signed John Gruden to a 10-year contract, and Gruden had to be fired. There was no way he was going to survive.
Ownership in the stake and ownership of the team too. I want to know if that's standing. Does he still have his whatever percentage in the Raiders ownership?
That's a good question. But that kind of brings you back to this point. The only reason he cares is because he was hurt by the fact it was shrapnel from the bomb that Snyder was releasing, really to go after Bruce Allen. And it's funny because the fact that Bruce Allen
who's coming with me?
Yeah. And the fact that Bruce Allen actually, because John Gruden is an active head coach and is really well known, and Bruce Allen isn't known outside of Washington, no one's really looked and said, God, Bruce Allen really was a tremendous asshole because he was taking part in these conversations with John Gruden.
This is the weird thing about the whole situation is that I think I've shared it with you guys, is that the list is long of guys that's played or coached at Washington or worked there that hate Washington. You know what I'm saying? Like that hate the coaching staffs, hate the GM. I mean, Gillette, Deion Sanders. The list goes up. Swearinger, Sean Gilbert, Hainsworth. There's like a laundry list of people who have had.
You know, the interesting is that a lot of those players, their complaints. One complained that we did not practice hard enough.
Man, no, it ain't even about that.
The other one complained that it was too strict of a culture. It's like you can't win for losing with players. No, you're never going to have.
My problem is
there are players out there who probably don't like Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, but my problem is that no one. There's been people complain. Junior Gillette. There's been people complain about coaches, GMs, staff, media. No one's ever said in history that I've seen on record say that Dan Snyder's a racist, homophobe, or a bigot, or anything of that nature. That's why I'm kind of like, maybe there's nothing directly that implicates that guy.
Shouldn't the people know how bad it was? Not even talking about Dan Snyder.
But they've already gone to court over it and done all their litigations over it. So people already know how bad he was. I knew how bad he was before this year.
Dan. Shouldn't we know exactly how bad the organization really was?
I think we know.
Do we? According to no, nothing there. We don't know because there was no report, so we don't know.
We was talking about that cheerleader incident almost 2 years ago, man. How bad it was. Yeah,
it would be from the Washington Post story. Yep.
Thomas Millen says seems to be, as of right now, the worst of it is the cheerleader stuff.
No,
and that wasn't rape. It was clearly harassment and clearly some kind of abuse. Clearly.
I mean, if you listen to the podcast, Megan was she did film. She did the film stuff for Larry Allen. And when she talks Larry Michael.
Larry Allen was just busted with cocaine in his trunk.
Oh, the big lineman, right? The stuff that they were directed to do is appalling. Like, you got to hear it. Form your own opinion. Thomas Millen says there are a lot of former female employers who are pushing hard for it to come out, and rightfully so that it should. He also says that he just wants others to pay as well to benefit his team, since he already had his dream coach. Finally, he's just met at this point. That's kind of what Phil said. I think he agreed with your sentiment. And he goes, I don't know, Bruce Allen seemed to play more of an outside role than previously believed. Mr. Editor. Yeah.
What's the end game here though? What are you hoping you find? If you're hoping to find something, what are you hoping to find? Because let's be real honest. This guy's weird. He didn't even have an email. You're not going to find any emails from Dan. You're not going to find that.
You keep going back to Dan. I don't care about Dan. I just want to read the report. I want to know how bad it really was.
But it seems like that's where the mob is aiming at Dan. Though.
Okay, I can't speak for that, but you're probably right.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I know it's the Washington football team altogether, but it seems like they're hoping they find something on the team that will force Dan out. But I'm like, you're only way Dan's getting out of there is if you find like a Donald Sterling type video.
Yeah, you're not going to find that.
It would have to be something crazy, and you're not going to find it. So I'm like, what are you going to get out of finding out all the information that you already know?
Right.
That they're sleazeballs, they're terrible ownership, they treated women, men, gays, black people horrible. We already knew this stuff. So what are you hoping to find or do after you find something? Are they going to Ray Rice them? Are they going to replenish them once we get the evidence that they already seen? Is that what they're hoping happens? I mean, what's going to happen?
It's an assumption until we see a report. We can only assume what's in there, right? We don't know.
But what's the worst thing in there you can find that what they're going to do? That what's the worst thing they're going to find in there that we don't know about? To be honest, they hate the guy. If they found something directly aimed at Dan, they would have already let you know this. I think, unless everyone is in cahoots. That is like what if they release it, which I hope they do. If they do, I hope that's what we find. Like I hope it's just not Dan. That'd be fucking crazy.
Thomas says the females would be compensated, the truth would be out, so we can finally move on from all this BS. Any other coaches or owners would be exposed for previous endeavors.
Some of the ladies were already compensated.
A good number of them were.
Yeah,
already
a
compensated.
lot of them were not. A lot of them were not.
A lot of them declined it.
Yeah, and some said they didn't want any money because they just wanted it to be out on the record. So I think that's a troubling thing.
Good for them. They have integrity.
Yeah,
but
they do.
Man, I think that in a way, but if somebody offered me enough fucking integrity, bro, like you can't. It's hard to tell a broke person, and I mean like working broke. Like we're not broke, but compared to Dan Snyder, I'm broke as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So you can't tell me if somebody like I'll be honest here. If Dan Snyder was like call me the N-word, man, I'd be like, man, that's fucked up. I'm gonna tell everybody. Well, here's $1 million not to. I probably wouldn't say shit. You know what I mean? And that sucks, dude. But it's true. You can't hate on the dude for not busting nobody out. Now, if you're getting sexually assaulted, at some point you got to save victim number 2.
But they had no HR. They had zero HR systems in place to report any sort of even the slightest infraction.
And that's by design, I bet.
No, I don't even think it's by design. I think you're giving Dan too much credit. I think Dan trusted only a handful of people because he's that kind of guy. He's a real small circle kind of guy.
I think he has a social anxiety disorder or something.
Well, he does. That we know. But he's a very small circle kind of guy, and he trusted his people to do the right things and let them do it because he wanted to enjoy being a billionaire.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And you can see it in the football side of things. So you can obviously see how that would happen on the administrative side of things too. Remember, this is a guy who basically, except for one season, in his first 12 years of ownership, in his first 12 years of ownership, except for 2 seasons, I should say, had Vinny Serrato running football operations for this team.
Yeah, failed acting.
We all know how awful that went.
Right.
So,
well, fellas, we got to move on. We talked way too long about this because we're passionate. It's a good topic. But before we move on, we got a lot to talk about. I got to show one thing. And when I play this, I just need you guys to make sure that you give me a thumbs up that you can actually see the screen. Just before we go forward, excuse me 1 second. Where is it? Where'd it go?
Oh, I'm looking at the injury report.
Yep, that's for the next. Hold on, here it is. I'm going to share. Spoiler alert! Now you know what's coming up, fools.
I've been flipping back and forth to the Knicks game. We're busting that ass right now.
Are you?
Not really.
Sorry,
we're up 2 points.
Technical difficulties here, guys. Of course, you had to, it was working fine before the daggone show started. I mean, I hate it. I hate it. Anyways, okay, here we go. Oh, just so slow. When I play this, just let me know that you can hear the sound because we have to talk about this. Ready?
I can't hear the sound.
No sound. Well, that's a fail. Anyways, Dev, what it was is you making a promise that if we lost the shotguns, you would do a multitude of things in our Facebook group.
Oh,
so
snap.
I can't not let that go.
I was banned. I was banned.
No.
Hold on. What I said I was going to do?
You said multiple things. You said you talked about whether you'd have to wear a sign that said Aaron Rodgers is my daddy. You mentioned a potential. Phil said Aaron Rodgers owns me, and you're like, fuck that. Nobody owns me.
Yeah, nobody owns me now.
Yeah, that's true. I feel you on that one. Let's try this one more time because it's funny, man. I want to be able to hear. I hope if it doesn't work, we'll just move on. No, because it's coming through my speaker, so that's okay.
Yeah, hey man, no evidence, no crime, bro.
Bye.
Don't release it. Don't release the evidence, bro. Don't release it. Don't release the evidence.
Already done.
It'll be on Dan Snyder, bro. I'm pulling a Dan Snyder. Do not release the evidence, man. It did not happen.
The clip will be on Twitter after this, and we will hold you accountable. So let's move on to the next topic.
I'll make a sign. I forgot what it is too, but I'll go back and listen, and I'll do it on spot the next game.
I think Bruce and Jerry were talking. I think you are the only one on Facebook right now. It's okay. Slow week. Football game on. All right. Should the Washington football team make any moves before the trade deadline? There's been some different talks about people on the trade block. We heard Tua. Obviously, we know about Deshaun Watson being out there floating. There's also other names. Emmanuel Ogbah from the defensive end from the Dolphins. Melvin Gordon, the running back from the Broncos, has been out there. Kyle Fuller, cornerback from the Broncos. LJ Collier from the Seahawks. Melvin Ingram, the edge rusher for the Steelers. Jamison Crowder from the Jets. Nick Foles from the Bears. They already got Andy Dalton in front of him and behind Justin Fields, and Derek Barnett from the Eagles. Will Fuller from the Dolphins. So with that being said, fellas, do you think we should make a move? And let's be quick about this before the deadline, and to include shopping any of our own people. Phil, go ahead.
Who and what are you going to give up? That's the thing. Is that are you really going to? What are you going to give up, and who's out there that you're going to get that you really think is such a superior improvement for our team and plays well in the schemes that we run?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't think of anyone. And a lot of times, people who make these moves. Like this in baseball, Phil, it's the teams that need to make this depth move to go on a run. Like they're making a push.
It does, but we don't even need to make a depth move. We need to make a starter move.
So I'm with you. I don't think I would consider getting rid of Sheriff. He hasn't been here for much of the season anyways. If you could unload him for something, and he's just gone because we're not going to pay him next year. I'd say get rid of him now.
I really feel like we are missing the boat and not trying to trade Sheriff. I really do. I think that you're not going to get a first round pick for him. All right,
you get a third round compensatory pick though.
You can get a second and maybe a fourth or something like that. You could probably drive the price. If you can get two teams into a bidding war, you can probably get to a second and a fourth, something like that. But you're not getting a first for him. You're definitely not getting multiple high round picks.
Thomas Millen says, "Don't go for Houston." I'm assuming you're saying Deshaun Watson. And that's the last thing outside of football we need with everything going on right now. Yes, the optics of that move would be very bad in our current state of affairs. Even Tua is we have that in Heineke. I think Tua has a better arm than Heineke. Clearly not as good with the legs. So I think there's comparisons, but I don't know. That's a great point. Dev, what do you think? Should we make a move or not?
Yeah, I would trade Sheriff. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Yep. I would trade Sheriff.
Yeah, too. I would trade Sheriff. If you don't trade him, you're gonna get a third round compensatory pick. I would trade and maybe pick up another linebacker or I would maybe trade him for a veteran defensive end to kind of go in a rotation with Sweat and Young. Maybe pick up a receiver. Hey, Odell Beckham's supposed to get traded too. Sheriff Odell Beckham.
Yeah, he's a little. Yeah, Odell's great ability, but he's just coming off an ACL.
I would give up 2 first and Sheriff for Watson right now if they want to do it.
I mean, Lord knows we need a quarterback.
I would do it. What worse could happen, man? Like, what's the worst publicity we could get? How much worse could it be, man?
Right, you can't get anywhere.
All his cases are civil. Worst case is going to sit out this year anyways. Sheriff's sitting out this year basically anyways too. So. I mean, and you would have him for 4 more years or whatever. I would do it. He has a no trade clause, which is fucking dumb by Houston.
It is dumb. Thomas Midland says, "Yep, we need a vet middle linebacker that's smart." That's true. We do. All right.
I'm rolling with the Kentucky boy middle linebacker, dog.
Jamin Davis. He's got a build. He did some good hustling last week. So on to week 8. We have the Mile High Club from the Denver Broncos. On Sunday, it's actually a late game out here. Not late game. We'll call it a afternoon game. 4:25, I think kickoff is. That's a sick joke doing that on Halloween, especially with us with kids, man. What are they doing? We're not gonna be able to, continue to watch this game because I'm gonna be out taking my kids trick-or-treating. But I digress. So let's talk about the Denver Broncos, fellas. We're rolling into this week as what are we, 2-5? They are sitting at 3-4. So what we're going to do is just bring up some of their numbers and let's talk about who are the 2021 Broncos. So when we start with that, Phil, just go ahead and give me your quick thoughts before we pull up the numbers.
Who do I think the 2021 Broncos are an enigma because part of me thinks they should be way worse than 3-4, and part of me thinks they should be well better than 3-4. And that's the weird thing about the Broncos is that they have pieces of really good talent, and then they have pieces that are just average or subpar. And I don't know, it's like they can't consistently make it come together into something consistent. There's no consistency with the Broncos, and that's
sound
weird
familiar.
You don't know. No, we're consistently just like finding new ways to lose. Whereas the Broncos, one game, you look at this team, you're like, man, where'd they come from out of nowhere? And another time you look at this team, you go, man, these guys are still way far away from building anything resembling a contender. So it's hard to get a read on the Broncos because you don't know which team's going to show up that day.
That's true. You don't. They're so inconsistent. And Phil knows this. Dev knows this. I think Phil and I were both interested in the Teddy Bridgewater move if it was going to happen, if it was going to be allowed to happen anyways in the offseason as a quarterback. So let's just go ahead and scroll through and look at the Denver Broncos stats. So they're 3-4.
Y'all know I wanted some Teddy Bridgewater on this team.
We like Teddy B. So let's talk about their defense. Their defense is definitely the strong suit this year. I think it's plain to see. Just look at those ranks. Their offense is just like ours, actually a little better. 24th for points, 22 for yards total gain. That defense, though, 4th for points allowed, 5th for total yards. They don't get turnovers. They're sitting at 24th in the league, but just yards and points. That's kind of been our whole struggle these last, I don't know how many weeks. How many weeks have we been struggling to do this? To get better, but so we'll see. All right, so their defense is the strong suit. I do want to point that out. And let's look at who they played. So they played the Giants, who they won. Jacksonville Jaguars, they won 23-13. The Jets, they shellacked 26-0. Ravens, they lost 7-23. Steelers, they lost 19-27. Raiders, they lost 34-24. The Browns, they lost 14-17 in a close one. So they beat the teams they were supposed to beat, and they probably lost a couple games but they were supposed to lose. So they seem to be like a pretty decent team if you just go off who they played in their opponents. And then there's the Washington football team. We shall see. We are playing them in Denver. So I always think that playing in Denver is a disadvantage because if you've ever been out there, the altitude sucks. It is a real thing. The altitude is a real thing. Thinner air, vehicles, everything. Performance it's rough. Their third down percentage conversions is 32%. That's not very good. And their defensive, they're ranked 27th on offense and defense on third down conversion. So their defense is sitting at 45%. Their offense is sitting at 31.8. So let's look at Teddy Bridgewater's stats. Actually,
he's got some nice,
pretty darn
stats.
Good. He's always been a semi-conservative guy, but they're pretty darn good. It's 1,700 yards, 70%. That's a big deal. He's very accurate. 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's been sacked 18 times, which is, that's a pretty good amount to be sacked over 8 games.
And let's also keep in mind Denver's biggest weapon in the passing game is a tight
Tight
end.
end.
Dun, dun,
Mr.
dun.
Noah Fant from
Iowa, right? Iowa.
Iowa.
That sounds like an
I
Iowa
think
name. I
him
don't know
and
if it
TJ
is or not.
Hawkinson both came out from the same school at the same time. Yeah, and Phil kind of jumped the gun, but yeah, Noah Fant. That's who I'm worried about. Melvin Gordon, we just talked about him wanting possibly on the trade block out of Denver. But their ability to run the ball is okay. I think they were ranked in the 20th, 23rd, something like that for total yards running. But it looks like we have two running backs to worry about. Their backup.
Javonte Williams is not bad. He's actually very Melvin Gordon-esque with his production. The two of them are kind of neck and neck. The only reason is that Melvin Gordon gets slightly more snaps than Williams, but both have very similar production. And they both contribute to passing game. Same can be said, if you look, it's right there. The first three receivers you see: Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Tim Patrick. There's two starting wide receivers and tight end. Also, all consistent, consistent in producing in the passing game, along with their running backs. Gordon, we know he can make catches at the backfield, and we've learned that about Javonte Williams too.
Yep. Cortland Sutton, like you said, 38 catches, only 2 touchdowns. The touchdowns seem to be spread out amongst the whole receiving core, but he's clearly going to be the number one threat on the receiving end from the wide receiver perspective. But I'm worried about the tight end Noah Fant just because of our history with tight ends. So the matchup is okay when you look at offense. The defense versus our offense is probably where it's going to get us if you just go through the numbers. Let's see what we got here. T-Ho, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for joining. And yeah, we will get to that in just a second, talking about Von Miller. I do have some questions for anyone to join because we'll go over the injury report here in just a second. But yeah, this is the 2021 Broncos. This is who we're going to see. There is no legendary Matt Prater at kicking anymore. They have Brandon McManus, but that ball travels
not
far.
Bad himself.
Who is not bad. That ball travels far in Denver. We talked about the altitude being a factor. I believe Matt Prater makes some 60-yard bombs like it was nothing on the regular out there.
He still owns the record, longest field goal in NFL history.
He does. So let's look at their defense. Yards. The defense is the strength of this team. So they only have 4 interceptions as a full defensive unit.
I thought the Ravens broke that record this year. Though.
They did. No, the Ravens kicker did. He did break it. That was like 2 weeks ago. Bounced off the went right in.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. And 4 interceptions. Now, Von Miller is leading the team in sacks. Let's go ahead and adjust the sack totals here. 4.5 sacks for Von Miller, and the rest are sitting about 2s and 1s and halves. So I think they're just a well coached defensive team. And Von Miller's definitely aging. He's 32. He's still very capable. He started all 7 games, but I know that he hasn't practiced all week, and we'll talk about the injury report here in a second. So this is the defense that we're going to be facing. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on any of these players outside of Von Miller?
Let me pull up my list so I can see it a little bit better here. Pro Football Reference and my cell phone do not get along very well because of all the pop-ups and everything.
Oh, yeah. Spam City.
I'm going to tell you, leaves more cookies out here than Santa's stomach after Christmas Eve.
Yep.
There's nobody. I will say this, kind of just looking through. There's nobody out there I'm really particularly worried about. Although I will say this, they do have Ronald Darby.
I was just about to say that we're going to see Ronald Darby again,
and Patrick Surtain II, who he does have 6 passes defense this year. He's not a bad guy. I know he was a guy who was actually linked to us in several mock drafts early on. Was Surtain as a possible pickup. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see their secondary against our receivers because that's going to be a key. because they are strong in the defensive backfield. Darby and Surtain are both very good. We saw what Darby did last year. And while he doesn't have any interceptions this season, he is defending passes, and he's playing consistently. I have seen that out of him. So T.O. says he's not scared of Darby Allin. Well, Darby Allin will be on Wednesday nights on AEW Dynamite. But Ronald Darby will be playing cornerback for the Denver Broncos. So.
T.O. says the Broncos linebacker core is bad, so it's time to run the ball because their run blocking is very bad. Well, that's a problem because we don't run the ball. So we shall see how.
But given that their strength is a secondary, I would love to see us pick this game. If you're in an atmosphere like Denver, and when I say atmosphere, I'm talking about the thickness of the air, running the ball is a great way to keep your defense fresh, so they're not constantly going on these, on the field, huffing and puffing, trying to draw air in. There is something about when you're imposing your will physically on another team that makes it easier for you physically to survive in what are, some pretty harsh conditions if you're an athlete.
Yeah. And T.O. asked, what players did the Broncos just sign? I heard they signed another linebacker because their starting linebackers are out with injuries. So on the transaction report, they signed a linebacker on the 23rd, Curtis Robinson, to the practice squad. And on the 22nd, they signed another linebacker, Barrington Wade, to the practice squad. And they did get another linebacker, Jonas Griffith, from the injured reserve.
Who?
Yeah. Don't know who. None of these names are big names, so we'll see.
Here's my question. You want to talk injury report now? Because I got a question for you.
Yeah, let's go.
So, once again, we have multiple receivers either not practicing or very limited. Where's Kelvin Hartman?
They cut him last week, I thought, didn't they?
They brought him back on the practice squad, didn't they?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and check the transaction list. We probably should do that.
Pretty sure. Well, we probably should. I'm seeing him still listed on. Wait, here we go.
While we're doing that, I'll bring up the injury report. Yeah, no Kelvin Hartman. I mean, he hasn't done anything this year, by the way. Even when he was on the team, we didn't get much burn with him being in position. But
we got burned with him on his first season playing under, pretty random circumstances. I would just love to see him get a chance. He's a big receiver. He's looks strong coming back. I would love to see him get that chance. It's not like we have too many great options out there right now with all these guys who are, hurt. I mean, look, De'Ami Brown did not practice. Curtis Samuel did not practice. Cam Sims, limited.
Those DNPs on a Thursday usually end up in a unavailable on Sunday. Yep.
Yes.
So for the audio crowd, De'Ami Brown didn't practice today. Sam Cosby didn't practice today. Curtis Samuel didn't practice today. Limited. Schweitzer, Gibson, Jackson, Sheriff, Sims. Full participants: Terry, Danny Johnson, Chase Sternberger. Let's look at the Broncos injury report for Thursday. Von Miller did not practice. Mike Purcell, very stout defensive lineman, didn't practice. Jamar Johnson didn't practice. And they had, we'll just go over the limiteds. Malik Reed, linebacker, and everyone else on the injury report practiced. So we're clearly losing the injury battle. And I honestly think that, and then some of our reasons of struggling on offense is, I think the offense involved Logan Thomas more than we thought. And I thought Ricky Seals-Jones would be able to pick up replacement, but he's great. Don't get me wrong, he's good. He's not Logan Thomas. And look, I got the shirt to prove it. Bam!
Logan fucking Thomas.
Logan fucking Thomas. So yeah, that's the injury report.
Oh, he'll be back by the Dallas game. You can wear it then.
Yes, I will wear this on December second week of December. I'll be wearing that.
Our offense would be a whole lot better with Curtis Samuel and Noah Thomas in it.
It would be it would be. T-Ho says we have to keep Danny Johnson out of the field. I think there's a couple guys we got to keep off the field.
I'll tell you what. I mean, he's not bad in a reserve role. He tackled. I love his tackling. That's one thing I'll give him. He's not a great pass defender because he just doesn't have the time under him and the experience, but his tackling is by far the best in that secondary.
He got beat like
a stick multiple dudes.
He got beat like a dick in San Quentin doing 25 years.
Yeah, but you know what? Did you see him in flat coverage? When he was coming up on defenders, he did the same thing that I like that Landon Collins does. He doesn't wait for the ball carrier to make the first move. He makes the first move, and he forces the ball carrier to abandon whatever plan they had.
Yeah. And T.O. Logan is out. I want to say he'll be back after the bye week. He could probably come back.
This is his last week on 3-week IR.
So
I think we'll see him week. So he should be really good to go after the bye week.
Yeah. All right, fellas. So let's look at this from multiple perspectives. What's the key to a Denver victory? And then what's the key? Let's go around the horn with Denver first. Dev, what's the key for Denver to win this game?
Not turn the ball over.
Show up.
No, I really
turn the ball over.
I think their offense. I don't think the receivers are going to play. We said right. I don't think the best two receivers, Hamlin or what's the name's playing, right?
No, Cortland Sutton is playing, and so is Patrick. So
Hamlin isn't playing. Hamlin's like the second guy, right? He just isn't playing.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if Denver has enough bullets in the gun. I think this is a game. What's the odds?
I'll tell you right now. Redskins Hub, thank you for joining us as we spit out the odds here real quick. For
man, Tion, nobody trying to run about Gibson's fumbling ass, man.
I knew you were going to say that. I don't want to admit it, but man, he does keep fumbling. So the place where I lay my bets, mybookie.ag, if you're listening, we'd love a plug. It is Denver by 3. So it is a home game for Denver. So in reality, you can say it's a pick 'em.
Pick 'em, yeah.
It's a pick 'em, which is interesting. Yep, T-Hill's like, we do need Logan and Curtis for the Bucks. We do. We need extreme luck for the Bucks. We need Tom Brady to get sick for the Bucks.
Yeah, we need COVID outage.
Yes.
Tom Brady would get COVID, Ebola, and the
SARS.
Asian flu. No offense to you,
yeah.
And would still be allowed to go out there because the league would cover it up completely.
Yep. Phil, what's the key to a Denver victory from a Denver perspective?
Okay, so you said Denver only has 4 turnovers forced on defense.
4 interceptions.
4 interceptions. So Green Bay had not stopped the team in the red zone scoring a touchdown last week, and well, they did it 3 times to us. First time all season. So I imagine if they have 4 interceptions all season, I'll say they'll have 3 in this game. That should be their goal, is to try to get right on the pass defense. On the passing game turnovers, and force us into making turnovers. That's going to be their key to the game, is forcing us to make mistakes.
Yep. Thomas Millen from Facebook says, Heineke has 0 turnovers. Defense plays at least mediocre. Blewett gets another shot at a field goal, and it doesn't get blocked, and it goes in. That would be nice. That would be nice. So for me, Denver wins this. We've seen the formula. I would say put a spy on Heineke and force him to sit in the pocket, and that's not his strong suite, his strength, and that's how you beat this offense. The defense, if you can get the ball out quick, seems to be our nemesis, because the defensive front can't get to the quarterback fast enough, and we're just not covering. So that's a key to a Denver victory. Now, Dev, key to a Washington victory. How can Washington win this game?
Man, I guess basically the same answer. Don't turn it over. Control. Start ahead instead of Maybe this time if we win the coin flip, accept the ball first, don't send the defense out first, dictate the how the game starts, and score first. I think that's going to go a long ways. We've been playing from behind every game but one.
You're right, and then you're just relegated to freaking passing the ball.
Right.
There's no balance. There's no balance.
Right. So I'd like for us to get a jump on them early. Maybe if we do have to start on defense, stop them from scoring on the first possession for the first time or second time. We've only done that once all year. So
fair. Phil, keys to a Washington victory.
I'm going to say it again until we do it. Run the ball. Run the ball. And if anyone says that McKissick should start over Gibson, lay off the weed. It's a horrible, horrible thing for you.
T.O. says McKissick should start over Gibson.
T.O. He should, man.
No, Dev does too.
Why?
Because he fumbles. That's why. He drops passes. That's why.
McKissick only does well. His stats only look good because we run the ball on passing downs, and it's 3rd and 10, and we run the ball with a draw with him, and he gets 6 yards.
Nobody said,
"Oh my God, he averages 6 yards a carry." Well, that's because of the fact that he's running draw plays on 3rd and 10.
Calm down, man. Nobody said you had to not play Gibson. I'm just saying don't start him. You got the same amount of fucking snaps.
You can coach Gibson's fumbling problems. Just tell him to stop trying to drive into piles.
He's doing it for 2 years, man.
He didn't do it like that last year.
Now, he only lost all of them, but he only lost 2. But he fumbled. Fumbled a bunch of them out of bounds. He's a fumbler, man.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is what he is.
Okay, he's a fumbler, and McKissick is not effective as a full-time running back. So we saw that last year. We saw that last year. When Gibson went out and McKissick was in, we had no running game.
You don't have to run him more than Gibson. You don't have to give him more snaps.
Then what's the point of saying don't start Gibson if you're not going to give Gibson the majority of the carries?
There's principles, there's principalities in this, man. Derrick Rose to get 30-something minutes a game off the bench, man.
Don't big worm me on this one, man. It ain't gonna work.
His long ass dreads now.
Hey, we beating them Bulls right now too, by the way.
Here's the thing. Why are we not giving Jaret Patterson a better look?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Because he's not better than either one of those guys. That's why.
He's a more physical back than either one of those guys, and we need a physical back.
Still not better.
Thomas Miller made a good question. Have we not scored first? I don't know, but
it feels like Atlanta. I think Atlanta's on one.
That's pathetic. Pathetico. So for me, keys to a Washington victory, I would say it's got to be linked into drive sustainment. These quick little, the defense is clearly probably going to be on the field a lot because that's what they are. We have to sustain a drive. These 3 and outs, these maybe 2 series and outs, it's just you can't win that way. Sustain a drive. Scott, call the plays that just get them past the sticks. If we can get it, if Gibson can get us to 2nd and 5. We're golden. It's just that, and I don't like these 3rd and short, 4th and short plays, and we're throwing the ball super deep. Why? I've seen that so much this year on a 3rd and short or 4th and short, and we're throwing long to Terry. Unnecessary, totally unnecessary. And stop sneaking the Heineke up the middle. It doesn't work. Stop. He's 225, 225, 11. It doesn't work. Stop. Please stop.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Let's. The big thing is that I like that when we're taking shots. We're taking shots at weird times. Going deep is something you should do on like 2nd and 11, or unless it just breaks.
Or 2nd and short. 2nd and short. Take your chance.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. 2nd and short. I'm thinking my brain went somewhere else on that.
I knew what you meant.
2nd and short. You go deep. That's when you draw it up intentionally to go deep. So that's when you should be doing it. We do it at weird times, or you do it when you've been consistently running, and now it's 1st down again. You've been effective. You've got a couple 1st downs on the drive from the run game. Then you run play action and go deep. Yeah. All right. This is, and everybody, it's funny because I hear so many people say that our offense is somehow running in like a 1981 style. No, it's not, because if it was, it would do all these things that I'm asking for, because everything I'm saying is very steeped in traditional football fundamentals that are still used to this day. We don't do that. We try to reinvent the wheel on offense, and it bothers me because it's like there are times when you can innovate, and there are times when there's a reason why something that's tried and true is tried and true.
Yeah, unnecessary, right? Don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thomas Millen said, let Gibson get through his rough patch, like the whole defense. He's all right. I think that was kind of like what Phil was saying. Keep giving him the ball. He does have the shin splints he's battling through, like T.O. was saying.
He ain't got the hands splints.
He's limited in
hands on the ball.
He's limited. Yeah.
Keep your hands on the ball, man.
It's at the worst timing, too. Worst timing. Oh, man. It's just
you want something that's interesting. We can have several sustained drives that looked really good against the Packers, and then we go and just do the most mind-numbing shit.
Yeah, it's like we did that.
In the red zone.
Like not diving end zone or McLaurin not catching a ball. He catches 100 times out of 100. This is his first drop of the year too.
Boneheaded plays. Boneheaded plays. Well,
I don't get it. I don't get. This is the same guy who
not going for field goals.
The entire legend of Taylor Heineke is predicated on him diving towards the end zone in the face of defenders. Here he has an opportunity to do it again, and he just crumples into a little ball like a roly-poly bug. Like, please don't hurt me, Mr. Defender. I don't want to get hurt. I really wonder if Heineke's lost some of his nerve.
Perhaps
why did he do that?
I wonder if it's like Chase, where he's trying too hard.
That was not trying too hard. That was not
overthinking. You're overthinking something that should be just so simple. Just run the ball in. So to me, that tells me that they're telling him, don't get hit. Do not get hit under no circumstances. Don't get hit. Therefore, I will dive a foot short of the goal line with no one around me just because. Tio said we signed 2 more running backs. I don't know if we did sign 2 more. I'm looking at the transactions, and we've signed no running backs. I see 0 running backs. We signed Anthony Hines, linebacker, to the practice squad. We signed AGG up to the active roster and elevated Keith Ismail up from to the active roster as well. And we signed Kelvin Hartman back to the practice squad on the 20th. So that's kind of all the transactions. So I don't think we signed anyone. But fellas, here we are. Score predictions. So for all 3 people watching this, give me your score predictions. And then we're going to go ahead and log these because we still have yet to get anyone to pick score close. So Denver Broncos versus the Washington football team, 4:25 on Sunday. Denver's favored by 3. Dev, what is your score prediction?
28-25 Washington.
28-25 Washington football team. Okay. Phil.
27-26 Washington football team.
27-26 Washington football team. Ooh, so we have 2. So Phil or Dev is 28-25. Phil is 27-26. I'm going to go. I'm going to say 31-27 Denver. That's what I'm going to say. All right, let's look in the crowd. Who we got? Antonio Brown, thank you for joining us, brother. Thank you for joining us. I feel like after Gibson runs a play, his whole motive is shot. Like effort just spirals down, or is that just me?
It's just you, because he fumbles when he's trying to make something happen out of nothing. Like trying to drive a pile when he could just put 2 arms on the ball and just take the hit. He tries. Here's the thing. I love the fact that Gibson always finishes runs moving forward. He does his best when he's slicing between defenders, and if someone takes him down, they're taking them down by hitting them in the knee or hitting them by the ankle, and they're taking them down that way. But he always finishes runs going forward. I like that about Gibson. but he wants to be Adrian Peterson so bad. He wants to truck dudes. He wants to be Derrick Henry. He wants to run over people. He's not that guy. And someone needs to grab him and say, "You're not that dude. Stop trying to do it." Because that's when most of his fumbles have happened, except for the Chargers game, which the dude got him from behind and punched the ball out. All of his fumbles are him trying to make something out of nothing or make something more out of what's going on. I don't fault him for effort. I fault him for style, method.
That's fair. Fair enough. Okay. Who else we got? Tiho, you're saying my score prediction is 30-17 Washington football team. Okay.
Ooh, really?
That's a bold move, Cotton. Washington football team.
That is a bold one.
Hey, we got Antonio Brown. Drop that score prediction. We get a chance. He says if the defense can hold Teddy to 17 points, I would be happy. And I want the defense to get some picks. That's right. Cordero. It's our boy Shotguns. Shotguns, the Packers fan. Yep. Feel free to rub it in our face.
Hey,
I will
what
not
was that
hide
bet?
anything.
What was that bet I owed you,
anything? His team's playing right now, so we can't watch. So no. We will.
Hey man, I tried.
We will go at this again.
Unlike Dan Snyder and the commissioner, I tried to get the evidence out there, but it seemed like it's a closed case.
It's not a closed case because instead of just sharing my screen, I'm going to go ahead and when this does come through, I'm just going to share the video file because I really want people to understand and hear the actual. Oh, look at this.
It's like Jeffrey on Django, man. He's just telling on it.
Y'all pick it. I will send you the sign. We got
24.
Yeah, technology, man. It's just not going to work.
No, it's because it never happened. Or 28. Good guys win. We're gonna pull it out. We're gonna pull it out, man. Look, let's make a bet right now, Shotguns. Let's make a bet. If Washington loses, I gotta go on the Washington Football Addicts page with a. It didn't happen. Photoshop.
We're not letting this go. Hold on. It's gonna finish.
Packers are my daddy sign or something like that.
There you
go. I ain't saying that's too gay. I'm gonna say Green Bay. I love Green Bay.
I love Green Bay. Phil made another comment, but we'll leave it at that. Okay, so we got it right now. That the proof is in the pudding. There's your proof. I think we're good.
All right, Sunday's podcast. I'll have it and I'll put it up, post it up.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let me start logging these predictions. Antonio Brown predicting Skins 24-17. Bro, look at you. 24-17. So the spread is 3. It is a pick 'em.
It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game.
Yeah. So Shotguns is giving us 24-17 as well. Look at that. Hey, if it is 24-17 Washington football team, Shotguns and Antonio Brown, we will do something to break this tie. We'll figure something out.
I got Grubhub coming too.
The other one gets Rod's jersey.
Ryan Grant jersey.
I got some Grubhub coming. It's going to be tasty.
Grubhub. What did you order from Grubhub?
Something from El Mazlan. It's a quesadilla, but it's like a fajita quesadilla.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and this episode is brought to you in part by Wild Turkey Rare Breed. If you haven't tried it, it's very good. Highly recommend.
Where's that made at?
Oh, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey barrel proof. Wild Turkey Distilling Company.
This podcast is also brought to you by Tullamore Dew.
Mine's brought to you by Mr. Pickle, the weed pipe.
Fellas, shout outs. Dev, you got any shout outs today?
Shout out to all the wonderful people in our chat, Cordero, Tion, and others, such as I forgot the guy's name. Thomas.
Antonio.
That's what I'm trying to think of. Thomas, Antonio, yeah. Thank you guys for stopping by, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Much.
And my Knicks are beating the Bulls. I think, we're up by 8.
Yeah.
Hey, Washington. Hey, Montrezl Harrell is nice from Louisville.
6th man of the year. Just wait. We'll see. He's going to take over.
Derrick Rose is getting that, dog.
I'm gonna break some good news to Steve.
What's that?
Should he start today?
Wizards beat the Hawks 122-111.
Nice. 4-1.
Give him Montrezl Harrell's numbers, though.
I hadn't seen the numbers tonight.
Tell him Montrezl Harrell's number, Phil.
23 and 7. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
What did Montrezl get?
Hold on.
It's all over Twitter. They talking about it. They saying he bought it.
It was that good, huh?
25 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists.
He started. He got
a nice surprise.
Yeah, because he started because of injuries.
Yeah.
Effort.
Who you got for shout outs, Phil?
Shout out to the Wizards for starting 4-1. Because I'd like to see us be the ones to contend with the Knicks for the Eastern Conference crown this year.
Yeah,
I think that the Knicks are going to be contenders this year, and hopefully the Wiz finally have put together the right combination of players. Shout out to the people in our group, whether you're an old school head who is knows how it goes, or if you're one of these new guys who doesn't. And doesn't understand the vibe that we put out there, and the fact that we are, objectively critical and objectively dishing out of praise. That's how we are. Whether you're we're one owner away from a Super Bowl dynasty, or if you're in the camp of we need to blow it up and fire everybody and get 53 draft picks for the following season and get all rookies or whatever it is. Shout out to you. You help it grow this group. You help expand it. You help drive the conversation.
All right, cool. Antonio Brown, HTTR. That's right, HTTR. We're still over here screaming HTTR. Hey, we got a name coming. It's going to be, what did they say, right before the Super Bowl? Right after the Super Bowl? I can't remember. It's coming.
Who's smart?
You can't mess it up.
If they're smart, they should do it right before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
If they somehow
they're gonna do it right when they drop they're gonna do it right when they drop them emails.
It will get buried. It will get buried before the Super. They should put it before the Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be after the Super Bowl.
Man, they're gonna hold it right when they drop them emails. When the emails have been dropped, the new name is. That's exactly what's gonna happen. The new name's probably in the emails. Probably in the emails.
They should send the emails in printed form in a package that's comes from an organization with our new name on it.
It's probably in the emails.
The Washington Not Red Wolves.
So I was researching earlier, and another reason that I think that they're hesitant to mess any of this up is because you could potentially. So they have this massive. The teams they're making money, but they're making their money from the TV revenue deals. $3.4 billion. I mean, I don't know what the NFL's cut of that is, but if you just spread that 32 ways, that's $106,250,000. That's a lot. That was 2020 and 2021. That's crazy. And then, of course, Dan's fine for that. The team's fine for that with $10 million.
And it just goes up.
And it just goes up. So what the fine Dan had to pay was 10% of the TV revenue. That's not counting anything else. So he was left with $96 million when it was all said and done just from TV revenue. And you can be 0-16 every year and you're still getting that money because it's evenly split. That's crazy. We're in the wrong business, fellas. We should own our own damn football team.
My brother.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Clearly. Hey, I don't have any major shout outs today. Shout out to Phil, shout out to Dev. We appreciate everyone who comes by the stream on a regular basis. It's always fun. Tiho, Antonio Brown, Thomas Millen. I know there's other folks out there who always come by. Cody Jones, Justin Sawyer. You guys are the regulars. We appreciate you. And if you like what we're doing, please, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your uncle. Tell your Uncle Kool-Aid. Go subscribe. Go
tell
subscribe
your mama,
to the YouTube channel.
Tell your auntie.
That's right. Dev, you're muted. I'm guessing. I think I know what you're saying. I'm not really sure. I think you're talking to me. I'm not sure who you're talking
Dev
to.
is
You
the
have
most.
no
This is the most
headset
hated man
on.
we've ever seen Dev, and he's muted.
I don't know who he's talking to, but for the audio crowd, Dev thinks he's talking, but he's muted, so we don't know what he's doing. Anyways, hey, we appreciate you guys. We will catch you guys Sunday, I guess, around 4:00, maybe a little bit prior for a pregame
It's gonna be so
stream.
weird doing it then, but yeah,
It will be very weird. Maybe we'll have to do it back at the normal time just to keep our minds right. But we appreciate you, everybody, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Please tune in early Sunday for the pregame show. And then, as always, peace and hail.